Hello lovelies, I'm Angela. This is Parisienne Farmgirl. Bienvenue, welcome to the channel. Last week on Instagram, we put the word out that we were going to take some questions and answer them here on the channel. So I have those here in my lap, but if you're brand new to this channel, let me give you a little bit of a backstory. We've lived here for 5 years. We bought this eco house in the middle of an overgrown forest. It had sat empty for 5 years. It had some really cool points, like some fabulous beams and a handful of French doors, and it had some really outdated quality, some old nasty carpeting, and some very weird architectural elements that we had to address, as our goal is to turn back the clock and create sort of an 18th century Normandy farmhouse look. I'm very much a Francophile and at the same time an Anglophile, so you'll see some British design influences if you stick around long enough. But I'm always getting questions about our flooring, about our recent projects, about the new stove. And so today I am going to answer those questions for you. If we run a little long, don't worry. I'll split this video into 2 parts and we will continue again next week. I'm really glad you're here, so let's get started. Okay, question number 1 is, did you ever change the porch from wood to stone? I've looked and I can't find an update. So I am assuming Homeland VA that you are referencing the flooring in the conservatory? I'm thinking that's what you're talking about. So this house is an eco house, which means that the front of the house is all greenhouse. So again, architecturally, some of those weird elements are like, we have these gigantic windows on the front of the house. I don't really love them. I love the light, but they're really big and not very charming on the exterior. So I can't really put shutters on either side of them because they're so close together. But they are what, in theory, keeps the house warm. So because it's an eco house, the air was intended to circulate one way when it was warm out and circle another way when it's cool out. That being said, there are big gaps in between the floorboards of those 2 porches, and they're really unsightly. When we moved in, they were covered with old, nasty Berber carpeting, which we immediately pulled out. And what I would love to do in what I call the conservatory, so that's the downstairs porch, it's where I start all my seeds and where I have my art studio, is I would love to put in a classic marble floor, that black and white Harlequin pattern. So not a checkerboard, but where it's turned on an angle and it has just that classic old floor look. I have been experimenting with different types of marble. The goal, of course, is to keep it affordable. Marble is not always an affordable substance to work with, so I've found some that I think I can save for. And I've been experimenting with honing it myself with vinegar, which has been really fun because I want it to look a little bit dingy, a little bit worn. I don't want anything super shiny like a high-rise hotel lobby floor. I want it to look, of course, like it's been there a long time. And I think it will look fantastic with the green plants and the brick walls. The next question is also about the flooring from Sally J, 1950, and these questions came in over on Instagram. So if you're not following over there, be sure that you do, because we have fun Instagram stories every day, of course, the reels and the daily feed, and they're sort of little blog posts, and anytime I have a new blog post or something fun going on, you'll always be alerted over on Instagram. So make sure that you are following me over there and say hi if you're new. I'd love to see you there. So Sally J is asking about floors again. How about refinishing your wood floors? They could be sanded, restained, and sealed. Now, I'm assuming she is referencing my pretty popular lamentations about our wood floor, which I'm always lamenting over on the Homemaker Chic podcast. Seems to come up a lot. The flooring that we have on the interior of the house downstairs is unfinished wood flooring, or unsealed. I don't know why they ever sealed it, but you can imagine with 6 children, the analogy I always give is when somebody drops a blueberry, it's over, because it immediately stains the floor. So follow Homemaker Chic podcast. We have a new episode every Monday. Lots of fun homemaking things there for you. And let's talk about these floors. What I don't want is I don't want shiny, new looking floors. So yes, we could sand them and stain them and seal them and make them look really proper, but that's not the look I'm going for in the house. I do want the house to look old. Now, the problem with that is I don't want it to look gross. So I don't want stained floors, but I don't want shiny new wood floors. In the kitchen, I am saving for terracotta. I remember the first time I saw a French terracotta floor. I was probably 19 years old. I think I saw it in an old Côte Ouest French design magazine. I lost my mind. I thought it was just the epitome of beauty for a kitchen floor. And so I'm saving for that. So the wood floors in the kitchen take a beating because we're in the kitchen all day, every day. But I'm just gonna ride those out because I'm eventually going to switch those over to a reclaimed terracotta. In the rest of the house, they're mostly covered with rugs. I have a serious Persian rug addiction, and that does protect the floors so they can stay sort of old and scruffy. I don't let the kids take food into the other rooms in theory, but that's sort of the plan with the floors. That's why I'm not keen to refinish them. Sally J. These questions are great. I really like getting to know you better. The questions that you submit to me show me what you're interested in, so that helps me with content ideas for here and over on Instagram, and of course the blog. Definitely visit ParisienneFarmgirl.com if you never have. We're going to continue with a few more questions, but first, a quick word from one of my favorite sponsors. Special thank you to Birch Living for sponsoring today's video. I am a busy mom of 6, running a farm, running my brand, and sleep is so important to me. Birch Living is a premium mattress in a box company, and their sleep products are stylish, they're comfortable, and they're environmentally conscious. I love mine and I sleep like a dream, so we recently brought one to my mom's house so she could get some excellent sleep as well. Their mattresses are made with non-toxic materials right here in America, and all the materials have been sustainably sourced. Birch mattresses are Green Guard Gold certified, meaning there are no harsh chemicals, and what that means for you and I is no toxic off-gassing. So their mattresses are good for the environment and they are good for me. I've had mine for about 2 years now. What I loved most is that they deliver it right to your door, and they have a 100-night sleep trial. So if you're a little uneasy about buying a mattress online, rest assured you can give it a try. You are going to love it as much as I love mine. And 2 free pillows. You can find the direct link in this video description. Okay, next question. Claire would like to see the floral frog. I have such a hard time saying that. I was practicing these questions before I sat down to record. Let's do it again. Floral frog collection. Floral frog collection, please, she says, and favorite vessel for arranging, like soup tureens. You know me well, Claire. I love to arrange flowers in soup tureens, so I will show you some of my glass floral frogs. I find them at estate sales, at barn sales, at resale shops, at antique shops. I've had some of you send them to me. Frogs, I think, are just, they intrigue me. I love using them for actually arranging flowers. I use them for other things too. Sometimes I'll keep the pens in my desk in one. I use them for my paint brushes, but I do have an always growing collection of them, and they're sort of all around the house. I do love to use them in a soup tureen. So my favorite dish, you asked my favorite vessel for arranging, is this blue and white dish that I have in my yellow cabinet in the kitchen. It's very low, so I think that's really unique. I like to put a big frog right in the middle and then just have the roses and lisianthus, which you know are my favorite flowers for arranging, just sort of spilling out. And it's unique in that the frog is not hiding down in a vase. You can see the whole thing, but I like that structure aspect to it. I like the air and the space involved in the arrangement. And so the blue and white dish is my favorite vessel for arranging flowers. And yes, that was my frog collection. All right, again from Instagram, Rachel P. Jordan, hi Rachel, is asking, all right, let's see, Rach P. Jordan, I'm assuming your name is Rachel, is asking, where do I like to look for curtains? So curtains are my nemesis, I suppose you could say. I have this condition, which I think they call Gucci taste, champagne taste on a bare budget. You could put me in a room with 1,000 pair of curtains and I would just immediately gravitate to the Scalamandre, to the most expensive ones. It happens every single time. And so I have finding curtains is a challenge for me. You know, I have the navy blue velvet ones in my bedroom. I really like those. I like to sleep with the really dark, so I do use them as blackout drapes. In the pretty room, that we call it, I have the orange toile, the paprika toile, and I found that fabulous fabric at Hobby Lobby about 20 years ago and made those super basic. They're just big rectangles, and they have the seams so that a pole can run through them, but right now I just have them pinched with rings. But I love that fabric. I wish I had piles of it. I'm very grateful for what I do have, because having had made them so long ago, somehow I always seem to have enough to dress the windows in whatever house we are in, which is really incredible. In my office, I have some sort of navy, cobalt, and pale pink drapes that I found at a flea market. And I have a very, very old textile of Joan of Arc, which is well over 120 years old, I believe. I remember that from the listing. It's extremely fragile. It starts to crumble if you look at it wrong, but it's absolutely fabulous. And I got that from the textile trunk. So I would say check that out. The textile trunk is an Etsy site, and the gal's name who runs it is Wendy, and she has thousands of textiles on her site. It's incredible, all budgets. So you can get a little tiny curtain for something really affordable, and then you can go full out and get a full set of drapes that have been taken out of a chateau for thousands. So there's something there for everyone. And if I could dress every window in my house from her site, I would. So if I had a favorite source for curtains, it would be the textile trunk. Long story short, curtains are a bit of a challenge for me because I'm really picky. I'm going for a very particular look. I never know it until I see it. So if you have a source that you love for curtains, or you found a great toile resource or anything, if you have anything to share with us about curtains, be sure to leave a comment below. So share the wealth so we can all have fun dressing our windows together. All things beautiful.life. I get this question a lot. You guys are really, really worried how I keep everything clean. I just clean it. That's the long story short, is I just have to clean it. I am more particular about things being tidy. So I have some pretty steadfast rules. I don't bring laundry into the house. I do my very, very best to take it out of the dryer and immediately take care of it. So I do not put laundry on the sofa. I do not put laundry on the kitchen table or on chairs. That sort of makes me crazy. I try to have everybody take care of their stuff. So at the end of the day, I'll put little piles on the stairs. Please grab your stuff as you go upstairs to bed. But I'm just like anyone else. There are Nerf bullets all over my house. Socks end up on the kitchen counter. There's cups by the edge of the bed. And so once or twice a day, we try to bless the house and just get everything tidy. And for me, that makes cleaning it a lot easier. Now, when it comes to cleaning, I know I get a lot of questions about dust. It's a dusty house. We have a cat. We have 8 people living here. Dust is a part of life. I would never have less collections, fewer collections rather, so I could supposedly have less dust. Collections don't make dust, but I do keep everything clean with a Swiffer duster. I'm obsessed with my Swiffer duster. I'm known to pour a cup of coffee and just take it around the house. I have to hit all the tops of the books, run it along my statues and the corners of my kitchen countertops to get the crumbs. I love my Swiffer duster. I actually find it kind of therapeutic. I know some people love washing dishes. Some people love vacuuming. I actually enjoy running around with my little magic wand. So that's probably something I do every single day in some way, shape, or form in some room to keep it clean. Eden Orchard. Here's another big question. What's the hype behind your stove/oven? What brand is it? This is a touchy one because people have opinions about people's stoves, apparently. I don't have an opinion about the vehicle that's sitting in your driveway, but some people have opinions about my stove. Here's the backstory behind the stove. Before we lived at this house, we rented a farm. We wanted to learn all about homesteading, and we sort of wanted to do it on someone else's property. We wanted to work our kinks out there. So when we moved in, one day I was baking. We had brought our range with us because I didn't want to use a rental stove. One day I was making French bread, and I was doing that whole put the ice cube on the hot cast iron skillet to create the humidity so you get that nice crispy crust. And I dropped the ice and it landed on the glass, and the glass window totally cracked. The interior panel, obviously it should have never done that, but it was extremely cost prohibitive to fix it. So I just dealt with it, and it was always an uneven bake. It was just really no good. During that time, 2 burners went out and quit working, and no matter how many times we fixed them, they just kept breaking. So for that 5-year rental period, I had a broken oven. Then we moved in here, we got a new stove. We got a Cosmo, which I know some of you have Cosmos. I've talked to you, you love them. They've given you no problems. Mine was a lemon. It was a disaster from day one. We had it replaced. The same problem happened with the second oven, could never get it fixed. Just kept repairing it, just kept breaking it. So I said, that's it. I am saving for a Lacanche. So the brand of my oven is a Lacanche. I've received so many questions about it and how I had it configured. I think I'll do a separate video, but they are made to order, and they are a very small company in France that makes these ranges made to order. Mine is half electric oven, half gas, and it has 5 burners, and I absolutely love it. So the joke is, like, I'm very content driving my old rusty truck. I use my vehicle about 2 times a week, so that can just sit in the driveway and be nasty. And instead, I choose to have this beautiful jewel in my kitchen that I use probably 6 to 7 times a day. So it's a Lacanche. She's Delft blue, and her name is Lucrezia. We have named her after our favorite housekeeper/maid from the series The Durrells in Corfu. So we call her Luga. If you are following along over on Instagram, you will see lots of affectionate references to Luga. Okay, I think we have time, instead of making this video like really long and laggy, we have time for one more, and then I will answer the rest on next week's video. So this question is, I'd love to know, this is from Parisienne Farmgirl over on Instagram, I'd love to know how many books are in your home and what book genres you have. I love this question, Parisienne, because what I do when I go into someone's home is I immediately look at the books. If I'm waiting for a glass of wine to be served or sipping a cup of coffee, I'll give a quick scan. I love to look at the cookbooks. I love to scan the bookshelves and see what people are reading. I think you can learn a lot about people's interests and their passions, where they're going in life, by looking at their books. So on my shelves, this is my office. I'm in my office right now. You will see a lot of books about Laura Ingalls. I have the hardcover set. I have a Bible devotional about Laura Ingalls. I have other really great ones. One of my favorites is Laura Ingalls Wilder's Little Town. That's an excellent look at the town and where she lived, and really diving into the aspect of community and the importance that it played in her life. If you're a Laura Ingalls fan, I would highly recommend that book, Laura Ingalls Wilder's Little Town. I have a ton of interior design books, all of Ross Byam Shaw's books. Love her. She was a guest on the podcast. You should definitely check that episode out. If you need some more design inspiration, I have all of my magazines sitting there, of course. Again, more design inspiration. And I have scads of Princess Diana books. When I was growing up, that was like the go-to gift for my family. I would get a coffee table book at Christmas. I would get a coffee table book for my birthday, so I have all of those. And lots of books about old Hollywood. So a lot of Grace Kelly, even Jackie Kennedy, not Hollywood, of course. Lots of Marilyn Monroe books because I'm very interested in Marilyn Monroe. And then when you go throughout the house, there is a pretty good sized collection of antique books. And I buy those based on the marbling on the interior of the cover or the exterior of the pages. I buy them for their interesting titles, and I buy them for their color palette. That color palette, it just works so well with the rest of the decor in our house. I really love old books. I love the smell of them. I love the feel of them. Yes, I have to dust them a lot. It's part of the game. It's worth it. There are books in every room of this house, so they're sitting on dressers. The kids have a few bookshelves. There's old books on chairs, old books on shelves. They're everywhere. So, great question about books. Yes, you can tell a lot about people by the books that they read. We will close with that. So I have a handful more. I will pick up and do another Q&A next week. And be sure to leave a comment. If you've never have subscribed to the channel, right now I'm filming a few videos, getting them done in advance because I am headed to Paris with my first group of flea market guests for this year. I'm going in April. I have another group of people in October. If you would like to come in 2024, we're going to hit the flea markets. We're going to visit the Eiffel Tower, have a glass of champagne together, and sightsee around the city and more. You can do that. You can hold your spot by clicking this Eiffel Tower right here. Of course, I'd love to have you watch another video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you again with part 2 of this Q&A very soon. A bientôt.